A woman came up to me after a show and she goes, "Can I talk to you about those suicide jokes?" And immediately I was annoyed because I figured she's gonna try to rescue me, which I don't need, or she's gonna try to lecture me on how suicide isn't funny and you shouldn't joke about it. I already know suicide's not funny. A subject doesn't have to be funny on its own in order to be talked about on a stage. That's not how comedy works. You're all gonna leave here exactly as you walked in. None of you are gonna change who you are. You're not gonna walk out of here. I didn't realize suicide was so hilarious. I can't stop smiling thinking of all the lives it shatters.
You travel the whole country and everybody is freaking out. Everywhere I go, people are doing deep yoga breaths in the airport. They're downloading meditation apps on their phone, just trying to keep it together. Calm down. You're doing great. You're doing great. I'm telling you, you're doing great. Life isn't perfect. It never was, and it never will be. We all got stuff to deal with. You're doing great. So what, you're fat? Who cares? We're all fat. You're either really fat, kind of fat, or trying not to be fat. Either way, fat's coming. And that's all right. Don't hate on it. You know why you're fat? Because you're winners. Yeah, first generation, born at the right time, doesn't have to fight for survival. Food always within arm's reach, perfect temperature everywhere you go. Every day wake up in America, it's a perfect 72 and snacky. So yeah, we're gonna be a little chubby, big deal. Don't hate on it, don't hate on it, except you. This is it, guys. You're a grown-up, you're an adult. This is what you ended up looking like. Game over. So you don't have the body of an Olympic athlete. Well, you're not an Olympic athlete. You're Don from sales. You got a fat ass. You wear khakis. You hike them up when you walk. We still like you. So don't tell me what you're quitting. I don't care. I don't care what your low self-esteem decided you should quit this week. I'm quitting meat. I'm quitting gluten. I don't care. You're my friend. You looked awful yesterday. You're gonna look a little worse tomorrow. You gotta be nicer to yourself. This is hard. It's hard what we're doing, isn't it? It's hard. It's hard being a person. Yeah, it's hard. When I was little, I used to look at grown-ups with money and cars and think, wow, that looks fun. I can't wait. Then I was an adult for 6 weeks. I'm like, this blows. I have to pay for everything. Just the physical maintenance of you every day, right? It's endless. Just the brushing and cleaning and wiping, hopefully every day. It's like you're your own pet. And some people don't take care of their pet very well. You see them on the sidewalk, their hair's all matted, it looks like they just ate out of the garbage. Where's your collar, Dan? God, just the checklist of stuff you gotta do to get out of the house, right? I mean, look around tonight, right? Look around. No one's killing it in here. No, you look all right, but no one's like, wow, look at that guy. And still, to look like this, took some doing, didn't it? Yeah, you made choices, put things back.
I came out of a horrible depression. I know a lot of people go through it. It's not uncommon. Anyone go through that type of depression where you got to give yourself a pep talk every morning? You know the type where you wake up every morning, you got to go belt around the waist, not around the neck, you know. Wow, more than I would have thought. Or the train pulls into the station, you gotta gently back up against the wall. Don't do it, don't do it. You gotta wipe your hard drive first. Don't do it. And I'm glad I didn't do it, so please don't think I'm up here killing myself. I'm just spitballing ideas with you. First of all, I feel too good to even consider that. But second of all, I've always been scared not of being dead, but of attempting suicide and failing. Because you're never in better shape after a failed suicide attempt. No one's ever like, you look great. Have you been in the gym? Like, no, I tried to kill myself. Fuck. You really look good. There's been dark moments. There's been moments where if in my mind I knew it would be fast, I would have done it. There's been a lot of times where if I knew that I could just jump in front of a train, dead, I would have taken that option. But even in those sad moments, I knew I don't have that kind of luck. I'm not graceful. There would be something would go wrong. It wouldn't be quick. Train, dead. Nope, it's dragging me. My fucking face would be bouncing over the railroad tracks. They'd find me a mile down, crumpled under a subway car. Relax, sir, we're gonna get you out. Oh, that's great news, fellas. I have no feet or shoulders. And I can see when I do this bit, a couple of people are kind of like, ugh. Come on, Jim, shoot yourself. Why make everybody late for work?
I have no self-esteem. Like, I don't have the architecture for good feelings. You can give me a trophy, it'll just slide right down. Like, I just don't have the shelving. In fact, I used to have to carry around an index card of funny things I'd written or said or directed just to try to remind myself that I was okay. Depression feels like you're wearing a weighted vest. I always felt like I was at a disadvantaged mood or energy-wise to my peers. It was never life-threatening. It was just life-dampening. And the medication could take some of the weights out of the vest, but I still came across people as either bored or cold or superior, none of which I wanted to come across as. Although I'll tell you, who always loved my attitude? Black dudes. Always. Yeah. They'd be like, Neil, man, you don't give a fuck. And I always want to say, well, that's because I'm sad. I actually think black dudes appreciated how openly sad I was, because black dudes aren't allowed to be sad in public. The only way a black dude can openly express sadness in public is if he does it with a saxophone. So I think people with depression have the reputation for feeling sorry for themselves or that they fell into a bad mood and were too lazy to get themselves out of it. But believe me when I tell you, I'm not lazy, nor did I approach this lazily. Like, I went to a psychiatrist and a psychologist, and if you don't know the difference, congrats, you're having a great life. I became a vegan to feel better. I quit smoking to feel better. Pretty much every exercise plan there is, I try to feel better. Meditation. I went on a 7-day silent meditation retreat. Medication. I've tried every medication they have, and they all have side effects, whether it's weight gain, weight loss, nausea, grogginess, memory loss, which for my job is not good, and worst of all, dick stuff.
I had to take a break from work because I went mental. And my friend told me, hey, you're talking a little too fast, having a lot of shit ideas. Why don't you get in my Ford Flex and I'll motor you over to the public storage. And I went into a psychiatric facility, which if you haven't been, don't feel bad if you go, and they're uniformly awful. You're not at the wrong one. They're all bad. They're all bad. It's as if an art director came in and said, okay, I want to break 5 more chairs, and then we need at least 3 pieces taken out of every puzzle, and the big screen TV, let's have it playing Ultimate Fighting Championships at maximum volume, lose the remote. He sat me down with the psych guy, and he said, the usual questions. Why are you here? Have explicit plans to kill myself. Okay, great. Pretty common. What are the circumstances? Every moment is unbearable. What kind of work do you do? Communion. No response. Felt so relieved, and he went back to his little laptop, and some music came out of it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of weird, but I get it. A lot of times in the light booth right now, actually, I have a little WIMP video playing a baby tortoise trying to eat a raspberry, and it's just so when at work when I get bored, I have something to cheer me up. it doesn't affect my performance at all. He turned the laptop around and he said, "Is this you?" And I said, "Yes, clearly it's me with more makeup and better material." And he said, "I had to YouTube you because I was concerned that you were delusional. Since when is a grandiose psychosis to claim that in any way you are involved in the entertainment industry? It is simple courtesy to wait until someone has left the room to IMDb them. And it's not like I said I was Richard Pryor. And had I claimed to be one of the finest comedians of our past century and been able to perform anything from his quintessential 1979 Long Beach stand-up special, or perhaps more weirdly, been able to quote some of his lesser-known material about the difference between beating white women and black women. Doesn't age well. But the joke was on me because the psychiatrist then put me on a mood stabilizer whose primary side effects are cognitive, making it almost impossible to think or talk. Own, or should I say, oh no. 72 hours later, you know how it is. You gotta work. Oh God, get back to work. I'm working on stuff. I'm really doing the inner work so I can get back to work. I found myself downtown Chicago bleeding. I'd lost all my identification and was making this noise. I called my mother and said, She said, "Honey, somehow, you know what? Somehow get to the airport. Go to Delta Priority. Tell them you are gold medallion." I did what my mother told me, and it turns out points is not a bad form of healthcare.
Even the people closest to you only get so close, right? The people you sleep next to, only so close, right? You got to give yourself little pep talks in your head all day long like a crazy person because you're the only one looking out for you. I got my wallet, got my cell phone, okay. Where are my keys? Okay, I got my keys. All right, it's going to be a great day. Going to be a great day. The only difference between you and a crazy person is they say it out loud on the street. I got my wallet, got my cell phone. Gonna be a great day. You're looking at him across the street. This guy's nuts. We don't yell like that. No, we don't. We should get some ice cream. I don't know why we don't feel like we're doing great, right? You work hard, you do all the stuff you're supposed to be doing, you're doing your best, and still you feel like it's not enough. I think it's social media. I think since social media came out, before social media, I thought I was kicking ass. I really did. Now every time I open my phone, someone's in my face. Are you killing it today? Are you living 100% maxed out energy? Are you living your best life? No, I'm not. I'm not doing any of those things, because that's not normal. I don't care what The Rock's Instagram says. That's not normal. You know what's normal? How you feel right now. Right now. In your funny little gassy bodies. A little achy, a little tired, lightheaded. Taking deep breaths so you don't pass out in front of your friends. Worried about your bills, worried about how you're getting home, worried about that thing you found on your ass. That's normal. And it's exhausting, and that's normal too. Being tired, which I know you are all the time, that is normal. You don't need a 5-hour energy drink. You need to lay down once in a while.